Lesson 87, Factoring Polynomials by Grouping. Our first set of problems, we're factoring four-term polynomials. So we've already practiced where we had a coefficient bigger than 1 in front of our x squared, and we had to do a little bit of grouping there. And we ended up with four terms, which we turned into two binomials. Here we're starting with four terms, and we're going to group them based on like terms. So here we have 3y squared plus 6yz plus 4y plus 8z. Now for these, we can easily make them into two groups and then factor. I know that 3 and 6 are good factors to work together, and I know that 4y and 8z can be factored together. So I'm just going to group them that way, and I can factor out a 3y in this first set, and that leaves me with a y plus 2z. And on this other side, I can factor out a positive 4, and that leaves me with a y plus 2z. Again, our goal is to make sure that our parentheses have the same factors in it, which they do. So I have y plus 2z as one of my factors, and everything on the outside forms my other one, which would be 3y plus 4. Second problem. Factor out the greatest common factor from each group. So again, these first two form one binomial, the second two form the other. I can factor out a 2x. That leaves me with an x plus 2y. On the other side, I can factor out a positive 7, and that leaves me with an x plus 2y. Again, my parentheses are the same, so that's in one of my answers. So x plus 2y times 2x plus 7. Third problem. Group again. So now I can take a 5x out of the first term, the first binomial. That leaves me with an x plus 2y. On the other one, I can factor out a positive 3, and that leaves me with an x plus 2y. And in my answer, I have x plus 2y. And on the outside, I have 5x plus 3. Second type is rearranging before you group. So sometimes maybe you might need to rearrange the terms so then you have some like terms next to each other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the 3y squared plus 3 together. So that's going to be my first binomial, so 3y squared plus 3. Then I'm going to put my minus 8y cubed minus 8y together. So now in the first set, I can factor out a 3. If I factor out a 3, that leaves me with y squared plus 1. And on the other side, I already have a minus sign on the outside. I can take out an 8y, and that leaves me with, here, let me put this parentheses around this minus sign here. So I'm taking out a negative 8y, so that would leave me with a y squared plus 1. So in my answer, I end up with a y squared plus 1. It's one of my binomials, and 3 minus 8y in my other binomial. Next one we can rearrange. Same thing, I'm going to group the 5x squared and the 5x. So that's going to be my first binomial. So 5x squared plus 5. And my other binomial will be a negative 12x cubed minus 12x. When I factor, I can take a 5 out in the first one. That leaves me with x squared plus 1. And I can take out a negative 12x in the second one, and I get x squared plus 1. So our answers would be x squared plus 1 times 5 minus 12x. Next problem here, I'm just going to switch these two terms around. So I have a 3y squared plus 3 minus a 4y cubed minus 4y. And when I group the first two and then the last two, take a 3 out, that leaves me with y squared plus 1. Take a negative 4y out, and that leaves me with a y squared plus 1. And in our answer, I have y squared plus 1 times 3 minus 4y. Third type of problem we have, factoring with the greatest common factor. So we'll factor out the greatest common factor first, then we will group. So I know I can take out a 5, and I can take out an a squared. And when I do that, I end up with 9ab minus 3a plus 3b minus 1. From this point, now I can group. So again, this part stays as my answer. I'm going to group these two together. So inside here, first off, right inside here, 9ab minus 3a, I can factor out a 3a, and that leaves me with 3b minus 1. And over on this side, I already have 3b minus 1. I can't factor that any further. But so I'm really factoring out a plus 1. In my answer, I start off with my greatest common factor, which is 5a squared, times my set of parentheses, which is 3b minus 1. And then everything on the outside is 3a plus 1. So this whole thing would be my answer. Next, I can factor out a 2z squared. That leaves me with 27xz plus 3x minus 9z minus 1. And now I can simplify. I'm going to keep this for my answer. I'm going to group these first two terms and these last two terms. And I can factor out a 3x. That leaves me with 9z plus 1. And over here, I can factor out a negative 1. That leaves me with a 9z plus 1. So for my answer, I bring down my greatest common factor, which is 2z squared. My parentheses would be 9z plus 1 times 3x minus 1. Next one, I can factor out 11x. That leaves me with 9x squared. Actually, I can take out an x squared, so this would be 9xy minus 3x plus 3y minus 1. And then I just group, save the greatest common factor for my answer. I can factor out a 3x. That leaves me with 3y minus 1. I can factor out a positive 1. That leaves me with 3y minus 1. And in my answer, I have my greatest common factor of 11x squared times 3y minus 1 times 3x plus 1. Our fourth type, factoring with opposites. So we're going to find that we'll have to factor out a negative 1 so to make the signs of our binomials equal to each other. So again, first check to see if I can take out a greatest common factor, and I can't. So now I'm going to group. I'm going to group these two together and these two together. First one, I can take out a 3a. That leaves me with ab minus 6. On this side, I want to make sure I get a positive AB, and right now I have negative 5AB. So I'm going to take out a negative 5 out, and that's going to leave me with a negative 6 plus AB. Now they may look different, but they're really the same, because if I reorganize it, it's really AB minus 6. So in my answer, I would have 3a times ab minus 6. Actually, it'd be 3a minus 5, because everything right here, times ab minus 6. Next one, factor completely and then check the answer. So I'm going to group. I'm going to rearrange because I know this 5x squared y works better with this minus 50x. So I have 5x squared y minus 50x, and then I have a minus 3xy plus 30. And now I can group. I can take out a 5x. That leaves me with an xy minus 10. And on the other side, I can take out a negative 3. That leaves me with xy minus 10. And in my answer, I have xy minus 10 times 5x minus 3. Next one, do a little rearranging. So I got 3a squared plus b, or times b minus 15a, just because 3 and 15 work well together. And then my other one, I have a negative 4ab plus 20. I'm grouping those two together. Factor, I can take a 3a out. That leaves me with ab minus 5. Over here, I can factor out a negative 4. That leaves me with ab minus 5. So my answer, I would have ab minus 5 times 3a minus 4. Next one, factoring a trinomial here. Factoring it completely. So for this one, I have my two binomials. C is negative, so I know I need a positive and a negative. So in order to get 44, I know I need 11 and 4, because the difference of 11 and 4 is 7. So the 4 needs to be positive, the 11 is negative. And to check my answer, I can just do FOIL. X times x is x squared. X times negative 11 is a negative 11x. 4 times x is a positive 4x. 4 times a negative 11 is a negative 44. Combine like terms, I end up with x squared minus 7x minus 44. And our last ones. So factoring these, multiply the outer two. So this would give me 60k squared. So I need to multiply two numbers to get 60, but add them together gives me a negative 17. I know that would be 20 and 3. So a negative it can't be 20 and 3, even though 20 times 3 would give us 60, it has to be a positive 60. So I'm going to do a negative 12k and a negative 5k, because both of those multiplied would give me a positive 60, but add them together gives me a negative 17. Bring down the outer two, 6k squared plus 10. Now I can factor. I can take a 6k out. That leaves me with k minus 2. On this side, I can take a negative 5 out. That leaves me with k minus 2. So my answer would be k minus 2 times 6k minus 5. And very quickly, I can just check k times 6k is 6k squared. I have negative 2 times 6k is negative 12k, plus a negative 5k is negative 17k. Negative 2 times negative 5 is a positive 10. That's a quick way of double checking. And over here, I have 6a times 15. So 6 times 15, or a negative 15, is a negative 90. So two numbers multiplied by itself to get a negative 1a. I can break that down into negative 10a and a positive 9a. I'm going to switch these around because the 9a will work better with the 6 and negative 10a will work well with the 15. So 6a squared plus 9a minus the 15. Factor out a 3a here. That leaves me with 2a plus 3. On this side, I can take out a negative 5. That leaves me with 2a plus 3. So my answer, I end up with 2a plus 3 times 3a minus 5. That is our lesson today on factoring polynomials by grouping.